Good morning. Welcome back to part 19 of Orot HaTeshuva of Rav Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Cook. As always, our learning is dedicated to the Refuah Shlema of Shimona Bas Daniela. Rav Cook, in the first chapter of Orot HaTeshuva, talks about three categories of tshuva. Tshuva tiv'it, natural tshuva; tshuva emunit, one which is founded on emunah, on faith; and tshuva sichlit, intellectual tshuva. We will talk about for a few minutes now tshuva tiv'it, that first category, natural tshuva. Natural tshuva comes into two different categories: tshuva tiv'it gufanit, and tshuva tiv'it nafshit. Natural tshuva, which is part and parcel with the body, it's connected to the guf, it's connected to your physical well-being. And then there's a tshuva which is sort of spiritual, which is not detected in the body, but rather in the soul. Physical tshuva is essentially, natural tshuva is essentially when you feel that the Aveira has a physical implication on your life. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Deos, in the fourth chapter, the first halacha, Hoyel v'heyot haguf bari v'shalei midarkei Hashem hu, shrei efshar she'avino yodam midiyat haboreg hu chola, fichach tzarech laharchik adam atzum midvarim hama'avdim es haguf, u'hanhig atzum midvarim hama'avdim machlinim. Simply put, a person has to stay healthy, a person has to stay fit, you have to exercise, you have to eat right, you have to stay away from unhealthy foods, from certain things that are damaging to one's physical well-being, because you cannot be an Eved Hashem, you can't be a servant of God if physically the body is not right. Even though there is a soul beneath it. My grandfather, when he was very ill, he loved the mitzvah of tefillin, even in the hospital when he could barely move at a later point. So he was taking the plastic that they fed the IV tube, and he was wrapping around his arm. He thought it was tefillin. Physically, he wasn't ready for tefillin, but in his soul, he yearned for it. But physically, normally, the situation is that a person cannot serve God properly if you're not physically well. But Rav Kook takes it one step further. He says that if you are mekushar mechukei hateva shesof kol and hagaro la'avi machalot machovim, that when you engage in things that are negative, you engage in sinful behavior that is against the way of the Torah, so eventually it affects the guf. It starts to cause all sorts of physical ailments. Doesn't mean everyone who's suffering, God forbid, it's because they rebelled against God. But when we do run away from God, it does ultimately cause physical harm. Many people, both the individual and the nation, suffer from this. When you see things happening to the Jewish people, you have to wonder, where is the association? Chazal tell us that when something goes wrong, small or big, try to understand what you done in your actions, that you can connect with this particular pain, with this particular form of suffering. And acharei haberur, once you clarify the matter, then you could restore the health that was damaged. You could restore what went awry in the process. We know that there was a physical ailment known as tsaras, and tsaras had a spiritual malady associated with it, which was lashon hara, sinas chinam, and when you spread lashon hara, it would cause a physical manifestation of that evil, of that darkness, and that was called tsaras. Every physical ailment, every physical pain, we have the obligation, the first thing, to turn inward and say, which midah, which aspect, which part of tshuva do I have to engage in? That's one aspect. But then there's a deeper idea. Yoser pnemis hi tshuva hativit nafshit ruchanit. Tshuva that is connected with the soul, a spiritual tshuva. Humashakar musar klayos. It's when your kishkas, your kidneys, tell you something's wrong. When you feel yourself going through an existential crisis. You could be 100% healthy. You could run 20 miles on the treadmill, or you could be in picturesque health. On a physical perspective, it's spiritually, you sense that it's empty, that something's wrong, that you don't have purpose, you don't have direction in your life. And because the natural pull of man is to go in the righteous way, you sense that something is off spiritually in your life, and there's an illness. It calls out to the heart. It causes pangs in the heart, and it causes pain. And it calls to you to fix that which is crooked, that which is not straight anymore in your life. until you can straighten out and erase the sin. So sin causes physical ailments, but more painfully and more often, sin causes a spiritual existential crisis where you know that something's wrong, where you know that something has to be corrected. And that's the first of the three types of tshuvas. A physical tshuva, which is based on a natural tshuva, which is based on both the physical and the spiritual element. Naturally, we know that when you sin, something is sent awry, something is set off, and we have to correct it. And next time we'll talk about tshuva, which comes from emunah, a tshuva which comes from a person's faith, and and how to correct that course as well.